everyone joining us again. Thank you for joining today's Buildathon. It's wonderful to see all of you here. Such great participation from your end. If you've joined right now, just please go ahead and introduce yourselves in the chat. I can see a lot of introductions come in. If you're joining us from YouTube or LinkedIn, you can go and introduce yourselves in the comment section as well. Right. So I'm just gonna quickly take a look at the chat to see who's joining us today. So many responses. Hi Rahul. Hi Dhana. Hi Devananda. Hi Meet from South Sudan. Hi Lakshmi from Toronto. Hi Shruti. Hello Arun from Mumbai, India. Hi Tim. Hi Raghuram from Chennai, senior architect. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing that. Hi from Oman. Sri Ram, software engineer. Hi Edward. Thanks for joining. Hi Abanti. Hi Igor. Hi Johnson. Hi Ami. Hi Mufisa. Hi Denver. Hi Anita. Thank you all for introducing yourselves. I can see a lot of responses. Due to the high volume of responses, I'm actually not able to read out all of them. But yeah, a lot of them joining us from US, Kenya, different parts of India, Ethiopia, Akshay from Vijayawada. Great. Awesome. So this is a global audience that we have today, and that's something that's amazing to see. Hi from Dubai. Great. All right. So I think it's time for us to start the session. We have a lot to cover. It's already looking like an amazing turnout, and it was great to see all of your introductions. And before we dive in, I want to say something that by registering for today's Buildathon, you've made a really good decision. And here's why. A Buildathon is very different from our traditional webinars. You're not here to watch another presentation. You're not here to sit through hours of theory. You're definitely not here to just watch a demo. A Buildathon is all about learning by building, and tonight's build is a very big one. So, like you can see on the screen, we're going to build your own AI data agent and analytics dashboard. So, if you've ever pasted a spreadsheet into ChatGPT and gotten an answer that sounded confident, but you weren't 100% sure if that was true, tonight is for you. We are going to solve a lot of these problems together. And we are going to make today's session very interactive and as valuable as possible. But before we begin, here are a few ground rules to ensure that we have a smooth session. If you have any questions, I request all of you to post your questions related to the build in the chat box. This is because Chris will have the chat open throughout the workshop, so he'll be keeping an eye on it and helping wherever he can. As he will be building along with you. If you have broader questions, for example, about AI, your career, or anything related to data analytics in general, you can post your questions in the Q&A box. We will take up these questions towards the end because we have a dedicated Q&A session for that. And finally, we always get asked a lot about the certificate of participation. So you will be getting a poll towards the end of the webinar where you can share your full name and you will be receiving the certificate, the recording to your email IDs within the next 48 working hours. I hope we are clear on this. I think this is the most number of queries we receive about the certificate, and I hope we are all on the same page with that. Like I said, if you have questions while you're building, you can ask that in the chat box and we will try to answer as many questions as possible. Before we move ahead, I'm just curious who all how many of you are attending our webinar for the first time? Have you attended webinars with us before? If this is your first time, please comment or type first in the chat. Or if you've attended webinars with us before, then you can mention the number of times you've attended, or maybe say a yes. So many first timers. First. Great. Second. All right. First. So many first timers. I can see a few of you mentioning second time, third time. Great to see so many of you joining us again. So anyone who has attended webinars with us previously and coming back here for the fourth or the fifth time or even the third time, it's great to have you here with us again. We always value your presence. It's great to have you. And for anyone who's joining us for the very first time, you've joined a great session. So this is a Buildathon. And this is brought to you by Simplilearn. So I will just take a few minutes to tell you who we are and what we do. So Simplilearn has been in this space for over a decade. We have trained more than 15 million professionals across 150 plus countries, all through structured outcome driven learning that actually changes what people can do at work. We have more than 80% graduation rate, and learners have rated us 4.8 on 5 consistently, showing the kind of learning experience you can expect if you decide to be a part of our journey. And even through webinars, that is exactly what we have been trying to deliver to our audience. And Buildathons have completely focused on delivering the maximum value and output for our audience. We also have learning pathways, professional certification programs, certificate training programs in a lot of various fields, like you can see on the screen. Some of them being generative AI, agentic AI, data analytics, project management, cybersecurity. So, if you're here to learn more or to advance your career, you're in the right place. We have a lot of programs for you. You can go visit our website and take a look at what suits you the best. And with that, our focus has always been practical, industry relevant learning, also because of which we have launched Buildathons here. And how do we do this? And that is something which is of utmost importance, that we have been able to build what we have built so far due to the amazing partners that we have. And you can see some of our partners here on the screen, and we are incredibly proud of this partner ecosystem. From globally renowned institutions to tech giants like Google, Microsoft, IBM, and AWS, these partnerships mean our learners get the curriculum that's not just current but also co created with the people who are actually building the future of AI. That credibility flows directly into today's Buildathon as well, as we're going to give you an exclusive preview into one of our flagship program in partnership with Microsoft. We will be covering more on that soon, but I'm sure a lot of you are waiting to hear more about today's Buildathon and also our speaker for today's session. This is one of the most interesting parts for me as a host. I am extremely delighted to introduce today's expert, Christopher Himmel. Chris brings over 2 decades of experience in data analytics, business intelligence, and AI driven decision making. Throughout his career, he's worked extensively with Python, SQL, R, Tableau, machine learning, predictive analysis, all of that you can see on the screen. He's also one of the top instructors at Simplilearn and has trained thousands of learners in this domain. So you are in great hands today. Additionally, what makes Chris an exceptional mentor is his ability to take complex technical ideas and explain them in a way that's practical and immediately applicable. And I have seen him do that in our previous workshop as well. We've got some great responses. I wish I could show all of that to you, but I'm sure you're going to experience that firsthand today. Throughout today's session, he'll not only explain the concepts but also demonstrate how to build a fully functioning AI powered analytics solution from ground up. So I am sure all of you are waiting to hear more from him. Chris, we're really excited to have you with us today. Thank you for joining us. Could you please go ahead and introduce yourself to our audience?
Sure. Thank you for the great introduction, Ananya. I'm definitely flattered. I've been a developer for many many years, and then I switched over into data. I did some research, in AI, back before AI was cool, and then got directly into data, when this field exploded, back last decade, and have grown in that area. Been teaching with Simplilearn, instructing, lecturing, mentoring, many, over 1,000 students. I'm very excited to bring this topic to you today. Looking at some of the latest and greatest in AI and analytics, and show you what is out there right now, what can be done, this is a whole new area. So we're all learning, we're all growing in this, and just excited to bring you guys along with me.
Thank you so much, Chris. That was a great one introduction, and I'm sure there's so much for us to cover. So let's get into the topic right away. And I would like to start with a statement that we have all asked a lot of questions to AI. We usually just upload a lot of data into ChatGPT or any other tool and ask it a question like, give me the data for this, analyze this data for me. And most of the time, it gives you an answer that sounds incredibly convincing. And but the actual question is, can you trust the answer? That's exactly what the challenge is, and that is something that we're gonna explore today. Chris, can you briefly explain to the audience what we'll be covering and what the challenges are when it comes to uploading data on any AI tool, as a matter of fact?
Well, sure. Traditionally, what we've done, in analytics is, from a very technical standpoint, come up with this SQL, Python, whatever, to come up with an answer, to dig into our data. So wouldn't it be great if we could just ask a question in English, just like, we're doing with ChatGPT now? Just ask a question and get, an answer that gives us this wonderful, rich, deep explanation and everything about what we want to know. Well, that comes with a challenge when it comes to, data. All of this information is out there. We want to organize it, get it ready for ChatGPT maybe. But if we don't, we ask the question, we're still going to get an answer. But there's going to be a huge range between how accurate that answer is to how we prepare for it. So that's really the key to what we're going to talk about today.
Right, exactly. Like you mentioned, we will not be able to tell which is the right one if we don't know what goes behind it. And that is what we are going to be changing today. You're gonna build the system that tells the difference for you, and that is going to be an amazing experience. So before that, now that we have covered the introductions, let me quickly give you a walkthrough of what the next 4 hours are gonna look like. So we'll begin with a 30-minute session on some of the core concepts that make today's build possible. Chris will introduce ideas like grounding, model context, protocol, AI architecture, and prompting, concepts that are becoming essential if you're building reliable applications today. Understanding these foundations will make the live build much easier. It's because when you know the concept, you can apply it better. Once we have those building blocks in place, Chris will walk you through what we are actually building today and how all the different components fit together before we jump into the hands-on push. Then comes the exciting part, which is the build part one. This is where we will build what Chris calls the grounded brain. You will see how an AI model can connect to real business data instead of simply generating answers from what it has learned. This is one of the biggest shifts happening in AI right now, and you'll see it coming to life step by step. About halfway through the workshop, we'll take a 10-minute short break. We understand that you will all require a break in between. So it's a great time. You can go grab coffee, relax for a bit, and then come back refreshed for the second half. After the break, we will move into build part two, where everything starts coming together. You will see how to transform everything you've built into a fully functional AI powered analytics dashboard that can answer questions using real data and present those insights in a clean, shareable interface. We'll also spend some time introducing our Microsoft Applied Agentic AI program, where another member of our team will walk you through the concepts you've learned today and talk to you about your larger learning journey. So we will be covering the curriculum, hands-on projects, and career opportunities that are out there for you. And finally, we'll wrap up with a dedicated Q&A session. Like I mentioned, if you have any questions for Chris regarding data and AI in general and not regarding the build, you can post them in the Q&A. And this is the section where we will be taking this up. So Chris will answer your questions, clarify anything from today's build, and share a few additional insights. But please keep in mind that we only have limited time, so we will try to take as many questions as possible. So let's get started. Chris, let's start with the core concepts session. I'll over to you.
All right, sounds good. All right, so what we're gonna, what this is really about is, we could just ask a question and get, an answer about our data. The ChatGPT, these language models have an idea about our data, but what we want to do is actually ground those answers in reality. What it's going to be about. We're going to show how, many different ways of doing that in different levels. But first, we're going to start with how we can ask the question ungrounded, what kind of answers we get, what are the issues with those answers. They sound plausible. This is the thing about quote hallucination that you've heard about with these large language models like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini. It's like they very emphatically and very plausibly give you an answer. It looks great, but is it the right answer, or is it just a guess? So that's really the problem. The fix to this, okay, is to ground the data, ground the question in the data. So we want to present the data, have the data in a format, in some manner available for our ChatGPT to actually go and pull the information out of that data to generate a SQL, SQL, that's like the language of data, to dig into that data and actually do some calculations and come up with an answer. This is an actual tool rather than just pulling the information out of memory that the LLM has picked up when it trained over the whole internet. So, why does this matter? Why do we need this fix? So, a demo will just really impress everybody, but what we want is to have an actual answer that people can trust, the actual answer, that the correct answer coming out, of the data. You want to go to the next slide? Okay, here we go. So part of this grounding, there's a couple different ways that we are going to be doing the grounding. MCP, Model Context Protocol, is a standardization that has come about that lets us ground our tools, ground our SQL calls, all in the same way, so that many different packages, AI packages, can use these tools and get to our data in the same way. We can show, over on the left, we've got, AI tools like Claude, N8N, Cursor, ChatGPT would be another one. There's many different tools, many different ways that those can go at the database, call an API, go at specific files. So we either have, if you count how many of these lines, those are all the different types of attachments or directions that we have to create. That's a total of 9 in order for each one of those tools to get to each one of those databases. So that's all coding that has to be done. If we use MCP, this standard, somebody develops those attachments, those uh, the way to get to the data, the way to get to those tools. Somebody creates it and then shares it with everybody as being like a standard. So that's where MCP comes in. Claude N8N, Cursor, ChatGPT, they all connect to MCP. They say, okay, what tool I want. I'm going to send these parameters, and I'm going to receive, these answers, and those are in a particular format, JSON, XML, whatever, and they fit into one way of doing it. So that really cuts down on the confusion of getting to our data. And so that's a way that this grounding can become much easier. And we're gonna employ these MCPs today. Also, we're going to do two things. We're going to build and just ad hoc pull some information out of our data. That's call that build time. Everybody, that's in the data world, you really do two types of work. Somebody comes to you with a question, and you just have to go off and get the answer, send it back. That's a one-off. However, we also we want to create these long-term answers that can be pulled over and over again without them coming to you. So that would be runtime. We're actually creating a dashboard. We're creating something, something specific for the group, and that would be runtime. So we're going to do both of those. We don't need to go to AI every single time that we are getting an answer. The very first time when we do a build time run, a one ad hoc, we want to use AI, and when we build the runtime, we want to use AI. But then eventually, we have the answer, we have the method of getting the answer. Now we're just going to put it in place and let the dashboard run. So that's the next step. And it'll be much quicker to get the answer once we've actually coded it and created it. And I say coded, us coding it. Okay, AI is going to do it. We're not doing any coding in here today. I'm going to stress that. We're doing setup, we're doing connections, we're doing a lot of the thought around the problem. But the coding, this is a no code workshop. I've specifically come up with methods for doing all of this that do not require coding. I am a coder, but that only helps kind of corral these no code techniques because they do require some thoughts and some methodologies that come with coding, but there's no coding whatsoever. And that's exactly what we're doing here. We're not going to react. We're not going to write any React. We're not going to write any SQL. These are all low-level languages. That are high-level languages, but it's a coding language. We are talking to the computer through languages. We're going to use English to talk to them, and it's to talk to the computer, and it's going to create all the code for us. This is one of the things that I'm just so excited about about how things are going. All right, so uh, yeah, this particular this is what we're going to be generating all day today. This particular top five product categories by revenue, and this particular graph that came out, there's issues with it. So I want to see what you guys think. If you can take a quick look at this and see what errors there are. This is something that is an ungrounded, ask the data, ask a question about the data. What are the top five product categories by revenue in this particular data set? Uh, and I'm going to show how this got generated. But this is just asking ChatGPT. So if you guys have any idea, okay, what is wrong with this graph? There's actually three things, and two things are really obvious. The third thing would be more of some understanding of the database, but the total revenue is not matching. So, so these are only the top five, so they shouldn't necessarily match. There, but there is another problem with the total. Let's see. Okay, so I'll give you guys. Well, first of all, total 2018 revenue of 4 million. Okay, how on earth would total revenue total to a round number like that? If anything, it should say 4M. Okay, not an exact number, 4 million, right? That's kind of an obvious one. And yes, Kostov, you got it. Um, right, that 4 million is less than the total of all those five categories. It should be more because those are the only top five. If I add up all of these, 1.3, that's 2.5, 3.6, 4.6. That's 5.5 is what the total is there. That's more than that 4 million. So just looking at this, it just is completely, just bogus. And the third thing that you'll see once we get into the data is one of those categories is not one of the categories in the data. It just made that up. So yeah, an invented category, that was the first one. It's not there. The numbers don't add up. Yeah, some of the parts exceeds the whole. So, once we actually run a SQL and that's what's generating our data, it's grounded in the data, then we'll come up with some real numbers. Yeah, full year 2018, but data stops in October. Okay, so this is another thing. Yeah, our it asks we wanted only 2018, but in the data it only goes through a certain month in 2018. So that is another issue with this data.
Thanks for that, Chris. Now, I think it's important that we talk to them about what we are going to be building today. And there are a few questions about the same as well. So, what are they going to walk away with after these 4 hours?
All right. So yeah, the biggest thing, our final build is going to be a live AI dashboard that pulls everything together. And as we go through this, we're going to just in English ask the data, chat with the data. Uh, So, there's not going to be any code that you write, and what we have in the end is going to be a dashboard that you can share. We're going to deploy it onto the web. That's our final result. What I have put together is a database. This database, I've gotten it all loaded in Superbase in Postgres. So it is something that you have available to you, even though I'm going to give you the tools. I'm going to talk you through how that was built so that you could do it yourself. The particular database that we are looking at is this O-list Brazilian e-commerce database dataset, and I'll show you this, where this comes from in a minute. I got it off of Kaggle. Kaggle has lots of great data sets, realistic data sets for you to go through, for you to use in your projects. So that's where I started so that it's a common data set that everybody can pull down. It's about 100,000 orders. I've got it, loaded into Postgres, and I'll give you the tools to use it yourself if you want to. Otherwise, I'll also give you the steps for how that data was created.
Thank you for that, Chris. So now we are very clear on what we are going to leave with. And we spoke about grounding MCP and why simply asking an AI model a question isn't always enough if you want answers that you can actually trust. Now comes my favorite part of the workshop where we get to see all of those concepts come to life. Over the next couple of hours, Chris is going to build an AI powered analytics dashboard. He explained all the steps here, so I'm not going to say that again. But here's what I hope you take away from today. You will learn how to build a dashboard. You will learn you will understand how these tools fit together. But more importantly, you will start looking at AI a little differently. So the next time an AI gives you an answer, you won't just accept it because it sounds convincing. You will instinctively ask, where does this answer come from? Or is it actually grounded in on real data? And honestly, that's one of the most valuable skills you can develop as AI becomes a bigger part of the way we work. And I think it has a significant impact on the work that we do in today's times. But here's also uh, something that we wanted to tell you, and I would want to be honest about it. So, no 4 hour workshop, no matter how good it is, can give you everything. I'd rather tell you that now than leave this workshop thinking that you are done and you've understood all the concepts. What we won't cover tonight is how to build multi agent systems that can reason across multiple data sources, how to design AI applications that can handle real world traffic and recover when things don't go as planned, or how to take the skills you're learning today and turn them into a long term career roadmap. So, these are not small topics, they are what separates a great prototype from an enterprise ready AI solution. They are also the skills that help professionals move from experimenting with AI to confidently building and deploying with AI as well. So to sum up, this workshop gives you a small part of the foundation. It gives you proof that you can actually build. But the foundation is not the whole building. So there's a lot more that you can learn. So if you find what you learned today interesting, then you can definitely think about this program. And that's exactly why our program is designed to help you get more details and in depth knowledge in agentic AI. So the Microsoft Applied Agentic AI program is 10 weeks of structured hands on learning built for people just like you who are interested in building and also want to go further in this field. The program covers a lot of concepts in depth: agentic UX, GTM strategy, production observability. It has projects, gives you mentorship, and is also a Microsoft backed credential at the end. So, for everyone in the session, there's an exclusive workshop discount of 40% that's available to you as an attendee. So, we believe all of you will make the wise choice in making use of this discount. We'll get into the full program details later in the session. We'll talk about what this program provides, how this can impact your career, despite whatever field you are in right now. For now, we will get into the build. I'm sure everyone's waiting to start. So, Chris, over to you. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen now.
Right. Okay. All right. So, pretty quickly, we're going to get right into the building. Um, okay. So, I'm going to start with, several different ways of answering the question. And the question is, what are the top five categories in this data? The very first one is that ungrounded, guess, that our data, our AI is going to try to get out there and find the answer. Um, there's no data available that I have explicitly given it. It is this familiar with this data, but it's going to, not really give the right answer. It's just going to, but it's going to do it in a very confident way. So I call that, hallucination. Then we're going to do a direct connection to that data several ways, and then both Claude and I'm going to show you also ChatGPT. They're going to actually create the SQL and get the data. It's it's just great how it's able to these tools are able to create code and actually run the code and come up with an answer. So very excited about that. And then the last one is using MCP. This is kind of the ultimate rather than having it just you know uh, ad hoc create these sequels actually have a way to get to that data that is standard that a bunch of other AIs also get to that data. So um, this is growing, making life easier for for building more systems to use these tools. Okay. So right off the bat, this is what has happened, and I'll show you actually, when I did this. This is ChatGPT. You guys are, should be very familiar with this. I just ask a very simple question, based on the O-list Brazilian e-commerce data set, what were the top five product categories by revenue in 2018? And I'll show you what AI went out there to do. Okay, so here's the data set, and I'm going to put this in the chat so that you guys can get out there. But it's very popular. If you just Google Kaggle um, Brazilian e-commerce public data set by O-list, or some parts of that, this is what you'll get. And I'll tell you some about this data. Here is the structure. It's uh, orders, products, and then orders and items and payments. This is how it all fits together. What we're doing is looking at these orders, breaking it down, by category, and doing some totaling. So that's the SQL that is being run. You can download this data. I would definitely suggest doing that if you want to follow along and uh, copy exactly what I'm doing. Here's all the CSVs that you get when you download. It's only like nine or 10. And one of these you can completely forget if you want, because it's the biggest one and really is not that important. It's the geolocation data set. That one's 61 megabytes. But this is something ChatGPT can just absorb. If you if you pull it in, and I'll show you that. But just basically, I mean, it goes out there, it understands somewhat about the data, but this is the answer that it gave me. It's got 1.4 for health and beauty, 1.3 for watches and gifts. This is, a breakdown, which it looks great. It looks like, okay, yeah, it gave me the answer, but it's not right. It's off. It did not do something right. Didn't understand the data really the way that it needed to. Uh, so, um, so yeah, so that's, what you're going to get, just from asking the question of something like ChatGPT. Claude will do something similar. I didn't give it any data. I just talked about it, talked about the data, and it knows about the data because it's been trained on, everything in the World Wide Web. So it's out there. Okay, so a way to actually ground this, okay, and actually, get real answers is to supply ChatGPT, with the data. So how do you do that in ChatGPT? It's really, really, simple. What you do is you just, given this data, I'm asking, the same question, but I have, you click on this little plus and add photos or files. And those same CSVs that you downloaded from Kaggle, you just attach them. You just upload them, and here it is showing that they were uploaded. I just gave it the data, the tables themselves. I didn't tell anything about the data. I just gave it the data, and it has the data, as you can see, has column headings. So from that, it can, AI can interpret that data and do it give it the answers based on that. So, and if you look really close here, you can see that this last one is a category translation from Spanish to English. So that's very telling. We're going to see some problems with that, or some results from that later. But yeah, that translation, basically all of the data is in, Spanish, all the text. So that's important. And what ChatGPT did was it converted all my categories to English. So very nice. And here are the actual right answers. Uh, those are the five top categories, and it also gave me a table underneath. So yeah, it used the right data, all the data, and did a SQL to actually come up with that answer. Uh, if we look at the what ChatGPT actually did in the background, looks like it used Python rather than using SQL, but same answer can be done either way. All right. So now we have started with grounding our data. Not using MCP or anything fancy, like loading our data into Postgres, where it's an actual database. We just fed it the data. Um, okay. So from there, I went a different direction, and I want to start using MCP. I want to start using, Postgres, as my database rather than feeding it the data. So after I went through the process of installing MCP and all of that, which we'll go through that in a minute, setting up in Postgres, I assumed that ChatGPT, or actually here's Claude. I've switched over to Claude. I assumed that Claude would go and pick up that tool. And when I first did it, it did not. And I'll now pull up Claude and get over, and I'm doing this in Claude Code because Claude itself does not actually run SQL, unlike ChatGPT. Um, so I have to do Claude Code, and this is where, okay, you guys need to, if you're going to follow along today, then you need to actually use Claude Code, which unfortunately Claude Code does come with, a subscription, and it's like $20 a month or something like that. So yeah, that's going to be, what you're going to need in order to be able to do this. Okay, so this time when I asked it, what are the top five product categories? And what it actually did was it looked on my drive for the answer, and it actually found the data, on my Mac because I had downloaded it. And since it found it there, it said, "Oh, I'm going to use that." So it actually loaded it, a whole bunch of different steps that it went through and came up with, the same answer. And it actually gave me additional information, the total revenue across all the categories. So this is just from me asking this question in English. It gave me, a nice table, all this nice information about it. So, so yeah, uh, that's what happens, when you just ask it the question. All right. So, now, after then, I went through and installed the MCP, and I moved the data so that it doesn't have access to it. And uh, so, and I'm going through all of these results first, and then we'll go through, okay, how do you actually set this up? Because that's what's next. Actually, before we do the MCP, I'm going to come down and do, the setup in Postgres. So, so let's look at that. All right. So in Postgres, if you just log in, set up Postgres. Uh, let's see, is this it? What I did was I created a new project, and and I'm making this available to you guys. And is this where I did it? No, it's the other one. So let's go back. Got two here. Okay. Um, I uploaded all of the data basically. So here are, the tables, and how did I create this? Basically, I had ChatGPT, or actually Claude, walk me through setting all this up. It gave me all of the queries that needed to be done in order to do that. And here they are. So I'm doing a create table customers, create table orders, create table products, sellers. So this is all of the SQL that it takes to upload to get create a framework for this data. And then the next thing was to actually um, put the data into these tables. And the way to do that is you need to have pSQL. I did this through the CLI, the command line interface. Um, so let's see where, oh yeah, it's right over here. You run pSQL, down here. So uh, here, so okay. So this was the command to do it. Um, this is actually how in pSQL I uh, got that data from those CSVs into those tables. There's a slash copy, which is a Postgres command that copies these in. I used AI to come up with these commands. It looks like I did a bunch of coding here, but I actually didn't. It was just copy and paste from AI. And what I'll do is I'll give you, this command here, which is allowing you guys to connect to my Postgres. So I'll put this in the chat. This is the connection string, basically. It goes out there into the web and finds me, finds my database that I set up here, where I've got the data already there. So you can run SQL against the database. And the commands within SQL that I used in order to get the data into those tables are right here. So once they're here, then in Claude Code, I can I basically said use pSQL, using pSQL in this Postgres connection, using this command. So this tells Claude Code, okay, I want you to use Postgres, the data that's there, to come up with the answer. Don't use the MCP tools because I actually did have the MCP tools set up, so I'm telling Claude Code to not use that. And what are the top 5 categories? So it goes out there and actually connects to my Postgres database and pulls that data. And here's where I actually did it. We can see if I expand, the work, what happened behind the scenes. This is what Claude Code ran, behind the scenes. It connected to my data through that connection string with pSQL. That's the CLI for getting to Postgres, and then it ran this query. This is the SQL behind the scenes that it uses to get all of my data, to answer the question that I'm asking it. So it came up with this query. And once it gets the data, then it shows it to me in a nice formatted manner. So yeah, so that's, see, let's probably have some questions. You're unable to copy it. Uh, okay, when you say it can't be open, you may have to set up Postgres yourself and run this yourself. Um, I'm I'm assuming that this will let you run it, this query. But yeah, it should connect. Okay. And okay, so let me step back for a second. My intent today is to walk you through what can be done. not necessarily give you all the tools and all the understanding of what's going on behind the scenes, and and to be able, to develop on top of this. Oh, pSQL is not recognized internal external command. You have to install pSQL. There is a actually command for doing that, for installing pSQL. Um, just you have to Google that. Um, let's see. I don't have that necessarily here. But yeah, that's part of what you have to do in order to get this to work is to install the CLI for Postgres. It's a very simple command, but just Google that. Um, what I'm, basically I'm giving you a taste of all of this, so that, this program that Simplilearn is putting on will walk you through in depth, will take you through this and many more ways, different ways of doing this kind of work. And there, you're going to walk out of it with being able to do all of it for sure. What I'm basically doing is giving you, a taste of it, giving you the tools, giving you, letting you see, okay, yes, this is possible. We can definitely do this. All right. All right. So now the next step is the MCP connection. So this is where my first try at this. I've worked, in this area for a while, and I've tried many different things. Um, I started with N8N as my agent, setting up. N8N is really good. It's a nice, um, it's a little bit nicer than the MCP connection that I'm going to show you. It's setting things up, and it's just no code as well. It's a very graphical interface for creating them. However, we're creating agents. Um, However, N8N is limited in how much it can, run these sequels. These sequels have to run somewhere. They have to take the memory of some, interface. And the way I'm doing it is it's taking the memory in Postgres, the actual database itself. So that is, you know, eh, so I switched from using N8N to create the MCP to, since Postgres actually has it itself. So when I pull up my database, so that connection string, the way you get to that connection string is in Superbase, in the Postgres database. There's several ways of connecting to the database. This direct connection string is where you get that connection string from. And the way you do it is you go to this session pooler, not the direct connection. That lets you do it from remote. And then down here, uh, you actually get the full connection string. Now, it's got a place where you have to put in your password, and the password is set up when you create, the database. So you'll have to just insert that in here. I'm actually, giving you, since this is completely demo, I'm giving you that password as uh, part of the connection string, this AI dashboard 12340. Uh, so, if you have to connect a different way, here's all the details of that connection. So that's the direct connection details. It also has this MCP connection. So if I click there, then I pick what client is connecting to this database. I'm connecting via Claude Code, and then I have some steps that I have to go through in order to connect. Claude code to that MCP. And so I'm going to run these commands in a terminal. So just copy that uh, and paste it here. And if you'll notice, it's this Claude command that's running it. And if you have not installed the Claude CLI, this is another thing you have to install. Then you're not able to do it. So there's a way to install this Claude CLI, and I'm trying to remember installing the Claude CLI. It'll depend on whether you're on a Mac or um, on a PC, and on a Mac, this is the command. You just run it, basically. And if you're on Windows, then here's the command, you just run it. And it's going to do a bunch of stuff. It's going to go through a whole lot of, setup on your machine, installing this behind the scenes way to get to Claude code, through just a CLI. And if you need the pSQL uh, CLI, it's just right here. Brew install live PQ will give it to you. And sometimes you have to set up the path, sometimes you don't, but it goes through all of that from beginning to end here, for Linux and for Windows. Which for Windows, you just install PostgreSQL, the whole database on your machine. So that's how you get that command pSQL, or you get the command Claude, on your machine. And then you can walk through, these steps. I've got the steps somewhat aligned, laid out here, but they are more specifically here. And once you have uh, installed it, then you have to add where is it? You have to add the MCP uh, for that particular project for Superbase. Then you have to authenticate it. So these are some different steps that you just have to go through, here. And it's already there. It already exists. And then this Claude / MCP will show you all these different MCPs that are already here. Uh, so just Yeah, it's just walking through some stuff here. And if there's one that's not authenticated, then it'll say, "Do you want to authenticate this?" Basically. So, that's that. Those are the steps that you go through. Okay. So there is some setup here, even though, we're not actually coding, there is setup. Okay, here's more about, how to actually do the setup. And MCP has these connections because this is connecting through the internet to another system. So there's all these connection properties that have to be set up. Okay, so once it is set up, then Claude can get to it, Claude code. So you can actually ask it, now using the Superbase MCP Server Connect, what are the top 5 categories? And the details, it says using Superbase execute SQL. This execute SQL means that it is using MCP. And it runs this query, which is the same query, that it used directly on the database using Postgres, and comes up with this answer. So what I did was I said, okay, what were the MCP calls? Because MCP is this standard interface that there are several tools that are available. One of them is list tables. So the first thing that it did was give me all the tables that are in that database. And then based upon those tables, it just uh, ran a revenue query. Just ran this particular query. This is giving me some details about what happened behind the scenes. And it actually ran a second query, maybe because the first query didn't give all the answers that it actually needed. Uh, okay, so those were the queries that were run, behind the scenes. Okay, so just to kind of step back, what are the takeaways, from this? Uh, you know, we started with this ungrounded. We just asked ChatGPT, what are the top five categories? That gave us an answer that looked great, but was just completely bogus. Um, what we did to get from that state one, which was just an ungrounded answer, to state two, is we gave it access to the data. So that's this state two, having the grounding. So we had several steps in between, uh, going back and looking. I called it state 1.7, or state 1.3, where it got the data somehow. One was it just found the data uh, on my drive, Claude code. Actually, this first one was we gave it the data. We put it into ChatGPT, gave it the CSVs, and it came up with the answers. That was the 1.3. The 1.7 was it found the data, locally on my machine, and did the calculation. Came up with an answer. Then we had to go directly, to Postgres. We gave it the connection string into Postgres, and we said, okay, go directly from Claude code into Postgres, and give me the answer. So that was, the final, the third way that we did this in a grounded manner. Uh, and this is just generally how we set up Postgres. Okay, and then our final way to do this was through MCP, which is a more, nicer way of grounding it. All right. That's so it's reusable, MCP, it's a standard that if we did this in Claude Code, it would be the same as we did in ChatGPT or Codex, or N8N, any other AI agent call, can do this as well. All right. So Ananya, I think you wanted to take it from here.
Yeah, I think right now we have covered a lot. We will get more into detail in some time. But before that, we can go for a quick 5-minute break and return by 7, 8, or let's all be back by 7:10. I'll quickly share my screen and you guys can all go and take a break for another, let's say, 7 minutes and be back. All right, so I hope all of you are back and you got a break and all of you are refreshed, had your coffee. And now let's get back to the build. You guys already covered a lot. So in the next 1 hour, we'll do a lot more. So please go ahead, Chris. Over to you.
Okay. Looks like the recipient hasn't turned on. Share my screen again. All right. So let me start with answering some questions that are out here. Um, let's see here. Okay. Copilot, yes. I mean, these are just the tools that I picked. But yes, Copilot, you can do the same kind of thing for sure. Uh, let's see. Um, so the libraries used to connect database to Colab queries. Okay, we're not really using Colab in this case. And we're just having to install, a couple of extra things, um, like pSQL and, some CLIs. So, uh, the version of pSQL. So just the latest version of pSQL. I'm not sure what the number is. Probably any version would work. Anything recent. Uh, Claude Code is what I'm using, not Claude Cowork. Haven't worked with Claude Cowork yet. How did we get the CSV file into Claude? Just imported. Okay, I pulled the CSVs into ChatGPT when I asked the question of ChatGPT. I didn't pull them into Claude, but when I used Claude, it actually looked on my drive and found the CSVs. I didn't instruct it to do that. How ChatGPT or Claude got the Postgres DB connection? They got it through that connection string. Basically, I fed it into the Claude code prompt. Yeah, that was where is it? Just right here, using pSQL and this Postgres connection. The connection is what's in string is what's in quotes. So that's how Claude Code got that connection. I'm not sure why you can't get this connection. Um, this should be, if I put it in the chat, it should become available. Not sure why you're not able to copy out of chat. Come on. No, I can't seem to get to. Oh, there we go, chat. I'm just gonna paste it. Should be able to copy and paste that. Uh, all right, so 9 diff files for loading separately is not feasible. Has to download at once an AI model. Why? I don't know why you're saying it's not feasible. You just load it. I can give you an example. Uh, I'm just going to do it in, you know, ChatGPT. If I just click on the plus, add photos or files, and I'm going to go to where that is. Here are the files. I'm going to select them all. Actually, I'm going to not select them all because I don't want that one that's 61 meg. So I'm going to select these first few, say open. It has loaded them. Uh, and now I'm going to add the last one. And now I have all the data loaded into ChatGPT. And then ask the questions. Ask the question. What are the top, I'm going to say 10 categories this time. I'm going to misspell it. Uh, Piece equal that. Connection to server that failed, permission denied. Let me try it myself. Somehow you're blocked from getting there. I'm not sure why. But yeah, there you go. It just did those calculations. Let me just see if make sure I'm able to do it. Okay, that's the ESQL. Yep, it works for me. I can get there. Okay. Okay, for some reason, okay, yeah, I can't seem to copy out of, there we go. Okay, so connection failed. So yeah, it failed because there's something different in what you have versus what I have. What is different? That's, I'm just looking to see if there's a typo or something. Yes, there's a typo. You need to have a J in there. Looks like you just manually copied and pasted it, or manually typed it rather than copying and pasting. And you have to type it right. Okay. Um, Explain. Can you share them in chat again? I'm not sure what you want me to share. Do we need to install the CL? If you want to be able to follow along, then yes, you have to install those today. Okay. All right, I gave you the, how to find pSQL and get it installed. Okay.
Chris, a few of them are mentioning that they're not able to see the screen clearly. So, can you zoom in a bit?
Uh, Let me see. Trying to think of how I can zoom in. This is, no, that doesn't do it.
Okay.
Let's see. this, you know, these, Z shell or, these command lines, they don't really zoom in
All right, all right. So,
here. Okay, here we
yeah,
go. Yeah, here we go. View bigger. Okay, so that makes it, a little bigger, a little
yeah,
easier to
yes.
read.
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm walking through all the commands. Uh, let's see, the commands for installing the CLI. I mean, the best thing I can do is, there's, what depends on, okay, here's for the Mac. For Windows, using PowerShell, that's how you would do it. For the Claude, and for pSQL, on the Mac, this is what you need to install. Uh, for Windows, you just need to just go to Postgres and install it. And as you install it, the command line tools will be there. So I can send you the link. Okay. All right. So let me make sure I've got all the questions answered. Can you use MySQL Server Studio? You might be able to use MySQL. I don't know if you can generate MCP, either MCP within MySQL, but definitely you'll be able to connect directly to the database, using MySQL. Definitely. How does it go into your hard drive without that being part of the prompt? Sounds like a data breach or privacy issue. Uh, yeah, I agree. Um, it tries to be really smart. AI is there to be smart, so it thinks it's being really smart by doing that. Claude Code is not free. Claude Code, unfortunately, is $20 a month. So, maybe Codex, the same thing can be done, with uh, other AIs. So, um, maybe try that or Copilot. Okay, I provided the connection string to Claude. Can I review how I got the connection string again? Yes, the connection string, when I am uh, in Supabase, I go to my Postgres database. I'll go to my project. Here's the highest level. If I pick this particular project, this is where I've done, my work. I've loaded the data. Click on well, actually, that's all I need to do. Here's my dashboard for the whole, for that database. The direct connection string was here, and this is the connection method that you want. This session pooler, not direct connection. It is a direct connection as well, but just uses a better way, to connect, more secure. And then your connection string is just right here. And you have to insert your password in there. So that's basically, how I got it. Okay. And yes, you'll work with Copilot. It's based around Microsoft, which you can see there isn't much Microsoft that I'm, using here. Uh, but the program, that this is a, kind of a teaser for, is centered around, Microsoft. So it will be using Copilot. Uh, so I use ChatGPT to do my initial, my initial queries. Okay, I got the questions answered. Anything else? Which application is P-SQL should I install? Server. Uh, you just install, yeah. I mean, I guess it's server. When you install it, if it asks you, just take the defaults. Uh, what did we put into Claude to start? We just went to Claude Code, to start with. I started there and then started asking the questions. Okay. All right. So I think I got all the questions answered. Uh, let's what was the question? What was the question? Question was the same from beginning to end. It's what were the top five categories by revenue in 2018? Okay. All right. So now the next, what we've been doing up to now is all ad hoc asking the questions. It's just it's not really cementing any of this for use, by, anybody outside of your team, outside of you. What we want to be able to do is create a dashboard, a self-serve, I call this self-serve dashboard, where, online, up to date, anybody, your stakeholders, your executives, all the managers, they can get at this data, they can get their queries answered, in a very, similar method to the way you're doing it. But it's all encapsulated. It's all, you're saving them from anything but just opening a page. That's our goal. That's basically what we mean by dashboarding. It's, putting certain KPIs, putting certain, very important, pieces of information, making it available to them, so they can see their what they want to see the data. Okay. All right. So let's see. Any other questions? Able to copy the contents shared in the chat. I'm not sure why you're not able to do that. Okay. All right. So this is what we did, how basically what we did, our ultimate, and as far as in our build time, we used the Supabase MCP. We had this data that we loaded into Supabase, into, Postgres. Um, and, then we used Claude Code, to get at that data. This is what we did on an ad hoc build time basis. What we're going to do eventually, in a dashboard, is we're going to have that data sitting in Postgres. We're going to speed up the way SQL can run by creating some very specific views over our data that gives us our dashboard. So this is our final runtime dashboard that is what we're going to share to to our stakeholders. Okay. So, how is this dashboard getting to the data? This is all, built. We're gonna use Claude Code to build this dashboard. This is how it is decided to do that. It's having us create specific views in our data and over our data. And it's given us the code for doing that. Again, this is a no code, so this is all coming from AI. And how is it connecting to Superbase? It's using a JavaScript, Superbase JavaScript, method for doing that. This is just all within the code. It's using a a key that a user anon, has access. It provides access through this user anon, and it is in the browser basically. So the authority, uh, the connection, has this security built in, and whatever access we want to be exposed, we put it, we only give it to this one user anon. And that Superbase URL that we had, it's something that is a setting that is in this dashboard. We're setting it in there, and we're deploying this using Vercel. I don't know if you guys have experience at all with Vercel, but it is a way to take a website or any kind of app that you're developing and make it public. Make it create a URL to get to it, and it's free and or very low cost. If you're going to do this in here, this next step of creating the dashboard, you need to sign up in Vercel. And then, Claude Code. At some point, we're going to say, okay, you've given me a dashboard, make it public. Get it out there on Vercel. Vercel is not um, the only way to do this. I actually use a different, method. I use Replit for making, my work public. And Replit, the reason why I use Replit is it also has the AI generation of code. Uh, so, instead of using Claude Code to create all the code that I'm going to, for my applications, I use Replit. And the main reason for that is because Replit not only does the code generation, but it also will make my code public and host it and all of that. Vercel just hosts it, and I'm using Claude Code, to develop it. So that's two applications. Um, the thing about Replit is it is a paid uh, platform. If you're not doing a whole lot in it, then it's around $20 a month. Um, if you're doing a lot, which lately I have been doing a lot because I have, once I got into this, the ideas that have come to my head for what to develop, are just like are crazy. I see these commercials now for Replit. And it's just like, if you have an idea for an app and you are not developing it, it's just like you're really getting behind. You really should take advantage of these new platforms, these no code or low code, or actually it's completely no code. These different platforms. Cloud Code is just, one of them. Replit's another one. Codex is another one. You know, um, Copilot's another one. There's so many. So, for this, for what we're doing today, I started with Claude Code uh, because I also use Claude a lot. And then, go the next step and actually, create something, the Claude does not do the coding, Claude Code does the coding. But yeah, so, okay. So now let's get into this actual, let's create something. Let's see if there's any uh, questions. By using build time grounding rather than calling the AI at runtime, how much percentage of API costs can we realistically save when scaling the dashboard for thousands of users? Um, well, I mean, if we call the AI at runtime and it's for thousands of users, and that means we're calling the AI every single time. That's a lot of tokens, a lot of AI tokens, which that can get expensive. I sometimes run out of Claude, compute. I've signed up for Claude, and it gives me unlimited usage. But it does, if you do use too much, it starts to run out of context, and it gets overwhelmed. So you really don't want to be calling AI every single time you look at a dashboard, every single time a dashboard gets updated. Okay. All right. So let's look at, how I created this application, using Claude Code. So when I originally, created this, uh, let's see, let's get down here. I used a different method for coming up with this dashboard. But basically this other prompt that I used, it gave me all of these views that we're going to implement. And it gave me the code for those views. So in order to run the code for those views and create them, I need to go, into Supabase and go into this code editor and paste that code in and run it. So here are the queries that it wanted me to create. I just pasted them in and hit run. Uh, let's see. I guess if you uh, click run. So what is that? Oops. That's just down here. Run selected. So I'm not going to do it again, because they're already created, and I can see that they're created. If I go to the table editor, here are all the views that I just created, which actually is a couple more, which we'll get to those in a second. Actually, maybe just one more. But those are views. So that's just a way of getting to the calculations that my dashboard's going to uh, going to need, uh, you know, very quickly, so that database can be that data can be calculated very quickly. That's what I get out of by creating those views. Um, okay, so the prompt that I used is right here. Build a single page analytics dashboard. Now let me actually, yeah, I can zoom in here. Build a single page analytics dashboard for Brazilian e-commerce data set. Use React and Vite. Okay, so I'm just giving it very specifics, and I'll tell you a minute how to cheat this because it's, who's going to come up with all these words, all these terms and everything. Use React and Vite, recharts for charts, and Supabase dash JS, for, as the building blocks for this. Read only from these views, and then I'm giving it a very specific layout, KPI header row. So give me the KPIs up at the top, these specific KPIs, 2018 revenue, total orders, average review score, average daily days, then a bar chart for top 5 categories by revenue. So how did I come up with this prompt? The way I did was I said, I want a dashboard of interesting KPIs and charts. Give me the prompt for that. And this is what it gave me. So that and it gave me all the queries, the code for creating those views. So did I have to be really smart and come up with this really, in-depth uh, prompt? And the answer is no. I just used AI to come up with my instructions for AI, which I consider that kind of a cheat, for using AI is, you don't think you have to become a prompt, expert in every single type of prompt that's out there. Now, does that mean that you shouldn't learn about prompting? You shouldn't learn about how to come up with good prompts? That is not saying that at all. You should become an expert in doing prompts. You should learn about all the different ways of prompting. Uh, but when you're developing something very specific, very in-depth, very detailed, um, you know, by any means, say, give me the prompt for creating this. And when I do my replit prompts for creating a very complicated either app, like the very beginning, or if I'm adding to another app, but I'm adding this very complicated, very large piece to it, like another page or something like that. I start in Claude. I say, Claude, give me the prompt for adding this. And then I copy and paste that over into Replit. It's English, it's all English, but it's got all this other, details in it that I wouldn't know to um, to call out. Like, put the Superbase URL in a non-key and a non-key and environment variables. That's a nice thing to be able to do, but I wouldn't think of doing that. And would Replit or would my final AI think to do that? It might not, but being specific is something that's very important when it comes to prompting. So, so let's look at how this developed. Um, all right, so it found MCP, found the MCP Superbase execute SQL. So it looked for tools to develop this. Um, and then did some querying ahead of time. Let's see what else. So it does more querying to verify everything's there. Uh, okay, so this is something very, very nice about you know AI creating these is it does some fact checking ahead of time and does some checking behind the scenes to see if what you asked for is actually possible. And it found that my views are not good enough to do what I said for it to do. Like there's a view that's give me the top categories for 2018. It returns 5 rows summing to 3.6 million. But for 2018, there was a total of 7.39 million. Now, what I want uh, in my KPI header is total 2018 revenue. That isn't just coming from this. So my views that I created was is not enough, is what it's saying. And like my top sellers only returns 10 rows. No view gives me my true totals. So it did some research. It as in um, Claude Code did some research and said I can't do what you're asking me to do with just those views. So should I create more views? Is what is the question that it prompts me for. And when I actually ran this, it gave me choices, and I picked one, which was add two small views. So it did that. It added, here's a view that it created, uh, KPI summary. So it came up with that, and now it's good to go. Uh, okay, so then just confirm, okay to create the view on the project, so it just does it. So that's nice. It just does a migration, which means it actually is applying the code. All right, so let's see if does it ask me anything else. It just starts, here's where it just starts doing all this, uh, you know, creating stuff behind the scenes, this Vite, React, creating a whole React application. So it's just going through and just doing it, it's just doing the work, it's creating my application at this point. Uh, and voila, here's a quick view of what it thinks I want. Brazilian e-commerce analytics is a title. Here are my KPIs across the top, and here are some graphs that it felt like I needed, or maybe I was specific about getting that. Okay, so now it's testing. It gets like a statement timeout. And what's nice about these tools, these code creation tools, is they actually do test their own work if they can. Doesn't always work out that way. It's little, sometimes it has to log in order to test. And that's not necessarily easy for, these behind the scenes, it doesn't actually know how to do that, but it does its best to test. But you have to test no matter what afterwards. So it's all, it's doing all this. It's actually created several, three files is what it ends up with. Actually more than that, but these are the key ones. So Superbase client, use dashboard data. So this is how it did it. And it gives you some behind the scenes, oh, and this is it. This is we're at the bottom. Data loads correctly, chart renders with no console errors, responsive down to no mobile width. To run it yourself, you just, I now have this folder. Let's look. Got this folder dashboard. Here's everything that's in it. And if we want to run it, gives me the specifics. So npm run dev. So let's do that. Okay, it asked me, okay, where do I want to run it? Local, network, or dash dash. Oops, I don't know what it's doing. So just let me just do it again. Just let's see. Okay. Uh, is it running? No, it didn't run. Why is it not running? Use dash dash host to expose, press H enter. Okay, H, okay. R enter to restart the server, so open and browse. And so O, okay, it says it's going to try to open something in Chrome. So there it is, loading dashboard. Couldn't load dash, cancel statement during the timeout. I don't know what happened. Okay, for some reason it didn't work locally. Not sure what has changed. It worked the first time I ran it. Uh, shows server URL. Okay, so it is locally network. Use dash dash host to expose. Restart. Let me try it again. Open in browser. Loading dashboard. Okay, there we go. It just happened quicker this time. Maybe before it just timed out before it could actually pull the data back. But here you go. This is the dashboard. It's running all locally. It's not exposed to the web. All we've done at this point is just created an application running just on my machine. And you get there by localhost and then you give it a port. So so it did everything I wanted it to do. All right. So Claude code, is pretty powerful. And it's a grounded dashboard. It's got everything I want, and it's up to date. It actually ran a query against my data to get this. All right, and okay, so the next step beyond just creating this locally. Well, first of all, let me check questions and stuff like that. Okay, do we have to use both ChatGPT and Claude for this project? Okay, so ChatGPT I used very, very little. I used just at the beginning. I could have used Claude rather than ChatGPT, to get it ungrounded and then grounded just with the data. You could also have done that with Claude, same thing. Okay, so any other questions? Q&A. Oh, lots. Okay. Oh, okay. So, uh, how do we get okay, so anything, okay, anything shared chart link, but we cannot copy it. Okay, I haven't gotten to the chart link yet. Um, okay, are read-only views and runtime enough to handle complex user filtering in the dashboard, or will we eventually need an active backend server as the data set grows larger? Okay, that's a very good question. I could have added filtering on this dashboard. I specifically did not. But, in my prompt, I could have said, add a filter. And it would have, I've got an active backend server. My active backend server right now is my machine. It's running. It's just serving up a static read-only view, sure, but I could have added filtering. I could have done a number of things. It could have been a very complex dashboard with sorting, filtering, all that kind of stuff. No, I mean, you won't need anything more than what we're doing now. Um, as the data set grows larger, the data is being crunched all on Postgres, which Postgres is right now being served up in the cloud, in Superbase. So if your database gets bigger, if your load gets heavier on the database, then it's in the cloud, so that can just grow. I'm using the free version of Superbase right now, but maybe as you need more firepower there, you just have to upgrade. So there's nothing preventing this from becoming uh, bigger as things go. Since the anon key is exposed on the front end, what features does supervise row level security to ensure malicious users don't abuse it or modify our data? Okay, there is row level security that Superbase provides for Postgres. I did not implement that, but it is there. Uh, Anon can have just read-only access, so nobody can change the data. Uh, there's um, there's ways of protecting it. Definitely more ways than I'm familiar with. I'm not really a network guy, but you don't need to be these days. You just ask AI, okay, how can I lock this down? And it'll give you very specific instructions, within Postgres, within Superbase. What do you need in your code in order to access something that is more locked down? Okay, so is Superbase part of Postgres? When should I be using? Okay, Postgres is a SQL technology. Okay, it's a database. It's not hosted anywhere. It's just a database like MySQL. MySQL is just a database. It doesn't live anywhere until I put it somewhere. Well, one way to put Postgres to make it available for everybody, for the world to use, is to put it in the cloud to create an implementation, an instantiation of it. So that's what Superbase is. It's just a cloud platform for standing up different types of databases. Specifically, Postgres is what I did. In Superbase, let's see, if I go to the top level and create a new project, uh, oh, I'm at my limit. So can't really just create another one. I guess maybe Superbase can only do Postgres. But there's other ways of hosting databases than just Superbase. Like you can, AWS is a great way of doing that. This is an alternative to, more expensive AWS, RDS implementation. Uh, so all very good questions. If it's locally, then is there any way of putting or share in the cloud? Yes, I mean, that's what we're going to do next. How would you deploy this to production? This may not be for big businesses, but for ad hoc, a small team. Uh, well, I mean, in my case, I'm doing it somewhat as an ad hoc, for a small team, but you just have to, imagine that this could be, definitely deployed on a much larger scale. I'm just doing it, in a very small way, but it's analogous to doing this, in a very large deployment. How many tokens have I used for this demo? I've used, well, to create I don't know how many tokens. Um, I have unlimited, so I didn't really look and see. And I use Claude for other things as well, so I can't really separate it out. But quite a bit in creating the demo from beginning to end. I've used quite a bit of Claude mostly. That's the biggest uh, spend that I did on, here. Can I transfer other apps to the programs? I'm not sure what you're asking. So PostgreSQL is nothing but inventory where we'll be updating main database and using MCP will be connected to Claude or ChatGPT to make visuals, charts, to get real-time updates. Whether I'm wrong or understood the main thing. Okay. So the database is behind MCP. MCP is between my application and the database. Uh, so um, Post PostgreSQL is the database where the inventory is or the sales. That's Claude or ChatGPT, can either go directly to the database or through MCP. And in our case, we set it up so that Claude Code created this application, and the application is going through MCP to Postgres. I'm not going directly to the database, and it is real time insights. These charts are real time insights. Um, so are they ad hoc real time insights? No, they're locked down. I'm setting it up just so this data, these visualizations are what we're seeing. Um, right. We're connecting to the data. We created an app that connects to the data via MCP. That's our methodology. We could have just gone directly to Postgres, but to make this more standard and secure, we're going through MCP. We still have MCP, as a layer that's locking down the access, to the database. Okay, so let's do this last uh, build where I want to get this, what I created locally, I want to get it to Vercel. And this is one of the simplest query or prompts you can have. It's just, deploy to Vercel. Um, okay, and so Vercel, it's going to do it through a CLI. And I don't remember, did I install you might have to install a Vercel CLI. I don't remember doing that. Let's see, let me just kill this. I don't think I did. No, I did not. There's no Vercel CLI. It just happens underneath behind the scenes. Yeah, it happens through NPX, which is just part of the development environment. So I have to sign up for Vercel, and somewhere in here, it asked me, how do you get to Vercel? That's um, what's your, you authenticate into Vercel somehow. And basically, it just copied all of my code over to Vercel and set up a URL, a default URL. I didn't specify in Vercel what I wanted that URL to be, so it just came up with one. called it Dashboard One Amber dash 86. Just came up with that. And the specific URL that Vercel uh, will deploy to the world has this .vercel.app at the end. Just a public URL. And this is the project in Vercel. I might have created this project. I don't remember exactly, but it just, once you say deploy this for sale, you're going to get instructions on what needs to happen. This is not rocket science, this part. This is the simplest, the easiest part. Uh, so you have to set up some environment variables, like what's the Superbase URL? How do I get to Superbase? And what's the anon key? Uh, so there was, there's a way to get to that that this it prompted me to go do. So some setups that have to happen, in Vercel. So if I just click on this URL, now instead of something local, this is something everybody can run. You guys can run it. And if anybody has been, following along, this is where, I'd love to see your work. If you got this to go all the way from beginning to end, uh, nowhere in the document is Postgres MCP mentioned. Okay, so yeah, the Postgres MCP, that's all uh, in this section right here. In Postgres, in Superbase, you go to your connections, and then you just have to run through these steps. Uh, okay. In Postgres, there is no any data where you can create a database for yourself to use or import some data without creating database or importing data. How will you get access to data? Um, there's you have to. I mean, the first question is what data? You need to have data in order to get access to it. So um, without saying what data, I don't know how you can have data in Postgres. So, and then once you answer the question, what data, then okay, how do you get the data into Postgres? Postgres starts out blank. Sometimes there's like demo data that you can load in. Maybe there is in Superbase. But yeah, I mean, unless you have some kind of demo data that's already there, then yeah. Okay, so okay, you've got your dashboard using okay, so Claude Code can also deploy. So let me click on that. Let's see. Okay, so it didn't let me pull that up. Uh, that isn't deployed to the web. That's only local within your dashboard, Nathan. I mean, within your Claude Code. What's the best site to get data from for cross-referencing? Okay, so yeah, the next thing we're going to look at is chart gen. Uh, I'm not sure what you're asking. Best site to get data for cross-referencing. I don't know. I use Kaggle for getting my data. What about using this with live data? Sure. I mean, this is live data. Just because the data isn't changing at the moment, we are querying data in an external database that could be updated, you know, right now. So, um, so yeah, this is by with all the intents and purposes live data. All right. So, okay. So let's look. So I want to do one more quick thing. We've created our own dashboard, but let's look at this chart gen. Chart gen is a new product out there that is kind of tries to do exactly what we are trying to do here, which is you have, one query, one sentence in English and have it just produce a chart from scratch. So, this it sounds great. Sounds like exactly what I would want to do. So I said, well, let's try it out. So I pulled up chart gen. I mean, it just looks really good. It's got this data workbench. I can have local files. I can actually set up, a Postgres database in here. Have it connect to my Postgres database. This local file is a bunch of CSVs, that I've loaded in. Uh, and as I dug into this, it seems to uh, promise much more than what it gives you. So uh, let me find my. Okay, here are the queries that I've asked before. Uh, so what I said was, okay, I went to, I tried within Postgres to, tried to attach this to Postgres and run it, and it actually does not connect online real time to Postgres. It lets you set up the connection, but then when you actually ask the question, it doesn't find that connection. What it does find is any CSVs that you have uploaded. So you have to take your data and import it into ChartGen AI. And sure, I mean that's not that difficult to do. You have the query down here, and you just basically, it's take the data and apply it and put it in there. And so I did that. I ran a query. Were the top five product categories by revenue? And I used as input all of my queries, all of my CSVs. I pulled them in, and this is what it gave me. Can anybody tell me what's wrong with this? What's wrong with this chart? Chart Gen is not available in India. Okay. Well, not everything is available everywhere. Um, so so yeah, does anybody see anything, wrong with with this chart? I can see two things, right off the bat. Not giving insights, business summaries, sure. Anything else? I'll give you, yeah, that's it. The categories are in Portuguese. Uh, So I gave my question in English, and it didn't recognize that I have a cross-reference. Um, or maybe I could have missed the cross-reference in the uploads in what I uploaded. Seller's data set, seller's data set, product data set. Oh, okay. Could have been my fault because there was a cross-reference, but it could have done the conversion itself, but it gave me everything uh in Portuguese. Bar chart. So this is a bar chart. It's not a line chart. But also these numbers are not the same. These numbers are off from what I calculated earlier. All of those other queries gave me something different. Something that was the same between them, but so why is that? It just didn't really, maybe it didn't understand that I don't want canceled orders, maybe. I don't know. But for somehow this is, you know, not giving me the right answers. Uh, so it does give me some insights. So that's nice. And it says, do you want me to dig deeper? So it gives me some more, some more specifics. Um, and it does give me some questions, possible questions to run. And another thing about this is it gave me 100 credits to start with. And every question that I ask, every query that I run takes 10 credits. So this would get expensive very quickly, the start gen. And it doesn't connect to databases, doesn't connect to MCP. But it is nice. It does do, some nice things. It's an AI, interface to my data. So in that sense, it's quite cool. Okay. Okay. So that's it for what I've put together. But I want to challenge you guys. And something that would be great, a great application to build is something where just an ad hoc type in the question into like a chat, a chat bot, and I gave it a name, Autograph, which that's mine. I'm gonna copyright it um, when I create this. But yeah, so this is a pretty cool idea where basically you type in a query and it just pumps back an ad hoc answer. So this is very much like chart gen, but a next level on top of that, where I've got underneath, an MCP connection. I don't have here, the ability to um, connect to data like a different data set. It's only connected to one particular data set. So that would be something I'd have to build into this is, connection to, different data sets. So this is just kind of something I'm challenging you guys with. If you want to go and try to create something with what, I showed you today, I gave you all the tools for doing this. You can use Claude Code, describe to it what you want. I want a chatbot that connects to my data and shows, shows the results of what would be the query. So something about this is not really, that doesn't really lock it down to just a you know, a query against my data, which is a big problem with chatbots these days, is what if somebody doesn't ask something specific to the query. It's specific to the application. They can use it for other applications, for other reasons. Like I could ask it, "What's the weather today?" So this is where, these are the challenges that we're having today with, putting guardrails, putting, very tight controls on AI. Uh, so so yeah, any other questions? Anything else in the chat? See if there's anything else. Uh, Yes. Shivra, that's exactly what I'm talking about, is adding a chatbot on the page where users can ask questions about the charts. That's the exciting thing, to be able to do. All right, so I'll turn this back over.
Yes,
Stop sharing my
yes. Thank
screen.
you so much, Chris. That was great. A great build. I'm sure everyone really enjoyed it. Got a lot of responses in the chat as well. Let me just quickly share my screen here. All right. So I hope my screen is now visible to everyone. And yes, okay. So before we move on, I want everyone to take a moment and appreciate what you all have accomplished today. Some time ago, we started with a simple but important question: can we trust the answers that AI gives us? Today, we have seen how to solve that problem, and Chris did take us through all of it. You have built an AI powered analytics dashboard that doesn't just generate answers, it retrieves them from real business data and presents meaningful insights. And that's exactly what we covered. We saw a lot of comments from your side about not being able to access a few links and the resources. So, for anyone who's had those concerns, let me tell you, we will share all the resources with you post the webinar. So, that's something that you don't have to worry about. Right now, if you have stayed with us still here, build a dashboard. That's a huge achievement in itself. I think all of you should be really proud. And more importantly, you have seen that building intelligent data driven AI applications is not something that just large tech companies do. With the right approach and the right tools, it's a skill that you can build yourself. With that, I have a quick poll for everyone here just to understand where your headspace is at. So, what's the most in demand skill for working with data right now? According to all of you, there's no right answer. Like you can just share all of your responses. We would love to see your point of view and your perspective. So go ahead and drop your answers in the chat. So AI, okay, all right. MCP, all right. Anything that we covered today, anything that comes to your mind, we did cover a lot of core concepts. So if you find any of that to be really important, you can mention that as well. Data analytics, AI and SQL, collab, governance, analytics, AI. Great. I love seeing the variety of answers that you all are sharing. And honestly, that's what makes this field so exciting. Data careers today are not just built on one skill, but they're built on a combination of technical expertise, analytical thinking, and increasingly the ability to work effectively with AI, which we clearly saw in today's webinar. So if today's Buildathon has showed us anything, is that future isn't about analyzing data, it's about using AI to turn that data into actionable insights, right? So with that, let me take you to the next slide. So today's Buildathon, I hope gave you a great introduction to some of the most important capabilities. We saw a lot of things happen. You experienced grounding and RAG, which helped you retrieve answers from real data instead of making the guesses. And you saw the power of MCP and tool integration, where AI can actually connect with external tools and data sources to perform these tasks. We also touched on the importance of precision prompting because the quality of your prompts directly impacts the quality of the results you get. And Chris emphasized about this quite a lot. And while today's session focused on building one AI application, the next step is learning how to build a production ready enterprise grade AI system and eventually make AI agents that work together to solve complex problems. And that is exactly where we also want you all to be at in the coming months or years. So these are the kind of skills organizations are looking for as they adopt AI at scale. So if today's workshop has sparked your interest, every skill that we have explored during today's Buildathon has a direct continuation in this program that we mentioned earlier. And this program teaches all five and a lot more together, and it's called the Microsoft Applied Agentic AI. I can see a lot of questions again about the recording. So I just want to quickly tell all of you that we will share the recording and a poll will be launched shortly. We'll just quickly walk you all through this program and then we'll get to the certification part. So, what does this program do? This program is structured specifically to take you from where you are tonight to where you could be. So, it's 10 weeks. It's hands-on Microsoft backed program. It is built for so that people can actually learn a lot more and ship their products. We are also going to get into exactly what that looks like right now. So, in today's introduction, we covered grounding and RAG, and we spoke about how it evolves into building multi agent ecosystems. The MCP concepts you've seen today are explored much more in greater depth in the program, helping you understand how AI systems communicate with external tools and services. So, that's how much we get into it in this program. You'll also build on your prompting skills, learn how to orchestrate multiple AI agents, and most importantly, learn how to design AI applications that are production ready. So today's Buildathon is not a standalone learning experience. It's actually your very first step into a larger learning journey because everyone's exploring AI right now. Every field needs it, and data is everywhere. So if you want to get ahead, this is something that you can seriously consider. So far you have seen what's possible, but to talk about this and to understand more in detail about this program, I would like to invite someone who has helped thousands of professionals navigate exactly that journey. And with that, I'm very happy to introduce Avinash. He's our product expert for the Microsoft Applied Agentic AI program. Avinash is a senior director at Simplilearn and an MBA graduate from IIM Kozhikode. Throughout his career, he has worked with governments of Kerala and Andhra Pradesh on large scale development initiatives, helping create learning opportunities that empower professionals to stay relevant. Over the past 10 years in EdTech, he's guided thousands of learners in choosing the right programs, upskilling with confidence, and taking the next step in their careers. And that's exactly why we have him today to help you in your learning journeys as well. Today, he's going to help you connect everything you've experienced in the Buildathon with a broader learning journey. He'll walk you through the Applied Agentic AI program, explain what you learned beyond today's workshop, and share how these skills can help you prepare for the next AI roles that a lot of you are aiming for. And you also mentioned that in your introductions, which is great. Avinash, over to you. I'm sure they have a lot of questions to ask about the curriculum, about how it fits into their learning path. So over to you. Please go ahead and take over.
Yeah, right. Thanks, Shweta. Thanks a lot for the introduction. So first of all, many congratulations everyone for spending the time to sort of spending such a long 2 hour, 3 hour on a session trying to learn shows a lot of initiative from all of your end. So first of all, huge kudos to all of you. So I generally call this like a tax, sort of a 10-15 minutes that we have, because this is not something that you expected to hear, but we are introducing you to a program. But I promise you that I'll not take more than 5 to 10 minutes for this. And the other thing that I would probably want to say is so this program we have launched about nearly 8 to 9 months right now. We have close to 1,000+ students who have graduated from just this program, and all of them have seen a very positive career change, career delta, right? So we have people who have moved on to, so we have people who have just started their careers, moved into quickly agentic AI roles through this program. So we have a very high, so we have something called a cohort rating. From the cohorts that have graduated, we have a cohort rating of 4.8 out of 5 in this program. So as a whole, this is a program that we see is adding a lot of value to the learners, right? So again, I'll keep it very short. So this is like Shweta has already told, this is a program that we bring in collaboration with Microsoft. It's specifically focused on agentic AI, right? It's a 10-week program. It's a live interactive session. So whatever session that you had right now, it would be very similar to that. But because you are our learners, you're also what we say, you're part of a cohort which is very short, which is about 50-60 people. So what would it happen is you can unmute yourself, talk to the trainer, interact, and that's all part of the program. So it's a 10-week live interactive program completely focused on agentic AI, and which is which is brought to you in collaboration with Microsoft. Now, what we do, so I want to highlight a couple of things as part of this program. First one, like I said, it's a 10-week program, but you'll do about seven hands-on projects in this. So that means almost all of the concepts that you'll learn throughout the program is through projects, right? So this is not a one-way lecture where there is some industry expert who sits in, takes you through a presentation and says, hey, learn this. It's more of where you're learning by doing sort of this thing. So it's more very skill-based program, right? And you'd learn a lot of, so I think you can already see on the screen, there's a lot of what we say tools and frameworks that we teach through this. You'll learn Lovable, N8N, apart from your Chat GPT, Claude Code, which are all part of the program. So you'll learn or work with about 30 plus tools during the program. So I'll just quickly take you through the curriculum. So Shweta, if you could please move on to the next one. Yeah, so we can just show them all the contents together. So this first part of is the basic foundation of this program, where we more talk about Python. So even if you're from a non-coding background and you want to like sort of cope up with this, you could just about how to read the code, how to understand Python is what we teach as part of this program. So that is essentially, we would call this a phase one of the program, where it is mostly about Python and fundamentals of AI and agentic AI. The next part of this program, Shweta, if you could go to the next one, please. I'm sorry. Yeah. So the next content of the program is where you'll learn the core of the program, which is a multi-agent ecosystems and model contexting and tooling protocol. Some people talked about MCP right now when Shweta just asked the question of what are the tools that anybody wants to learn right now. So that's exactly what this part is. And this part essentially forms the core of your program, right? So for example, currently, so if you want to do just one activity, it's an agent. If you want to do a complete set of an activity and execute, you would need multiple agents to work together, transfer the data between one another. So all of that concepts working on complex agents is what is taught here, and is the basics of it. The foundation of it is taught in this particular set, right? And Shweta, if you could just move on to the last part. And the last part talks mostly about so if you look at this one, so there are a combination of two things. So you do a capstone project. Capstone project, I think a lot of you guys know, which is encompasses all the concepts that you have learned. So all of them put together into one project. So you would be doing that. Right now, people have worked on 2-3 exciting projects. One project that a lot of learners work on is developing a photo editing app. Now they develop an app, they also make it live, and there are about 10,000 users who can use it parallelly. That's part of our course, and a lot of learners who are coming out of this program do that. Another exciting product that a lot of our learners work on is a LinkedIn automation tool, where people develop an agent which can go on behalf of them, ping recruiters, do the entire journey of answering the questions, applying for jobs, etc. That's another exciting project that a lot of our learners work on. There is another exciting project that our learners work on, which is part of your capstone project, is how to launch a new product. Say I decide I'll launch a phone, but you develop an agent which does all of that for you. So that's part of a capstone project, and that's something a lot of our learners have picked up and done it in the cohorts that have passed on. So this is broadly about the program. So there are foundations, then there is a core of the program, which is your MCP, multi-agent ecosystems. Then there are a lot of projects. There are obviously course and projects which teach you a particular concept. There are also capstone projects which combine all of these concept that you have learned during the course. Lastly, all our courses also comes with a career assistance. So what does a career assistance mean? So what it's simply we sort of believe we want to, most of the learners sort of learn either to upskill within their own company, and a lot of people sort of try and switch jobs, etc. So we want to provide as much support as possible. So this is our career support offering that we have with Simplilearn, which is we help you prepare for your interview. We sort of optimize your LinkedIn profile. We review your CV. We also do a couple of interviews, and all of these interviews are AI powered as well. So we have also been using all of these in terms of making our operations better. Then at the end of this, all the learners will get a few handpicked job opportunities. uh, yeah, so this is broadly about the program. Again, like I said, the program is a very, it's cohort based model. So you have about 60 learners in a cohort, and so that means that there's a lot of one-to-one interaction with the trainer, with the learning support mentors, etc. So it's how I would say is so so it's a lot more training from within the peers as well as the industry learners. So that's why we keep our cohort short and enable this. So that's broadly about the program. I would not. So if you guys have any questions, I'm open to take it.
Yes, if anyone has any questions about the program, I think this is the right time to ask. You saw the amount of value that this program can bring to your life and probably get you to places that you are thinking of. Maybe the next, the startup you want to find, maybe the next promotion that you want. So if you have any specific questions related to the course, Avinash can help you with that. I think there is one question about the program, and that is if Claude, ChatGPT, and Copilot are all covered as a part of the curriculum, because this learner is only allowed to use Copilot at work. So is that something that we cover as a part of the course?
Yes, yes, it's a Microsoft Power program. So we of course covered Copilot. We also, yeah, so that's part of the program.
Yes. Any other questions, everyone? Please go ahead and share your questions in the Q&A, and we will surely take that up. All right. Someone is asking for the price. Avinash, can I move on to the next slide?
Yes,
Because
yes, yes. Yeah. So we have a special work discount for the attendees that are present for the workshop. The prices are on display on your screen right now. So you could use this. As part of the webinar, Shweta would share a link with you. You can use that to sort of learn more about the program, or want to avail this discount. You can do the same.
right. So with that, I think we answered most of the questions. I think there's one more question, Avinash. Once we have delivered solutions of projects, will you provide your own solutions to those projects?
So for all our cohort, there's somebody called as a cohort manager. We call them internally. We mostly for you guys we call them as a learner success manager. Their job is to sort of how do I say this? So if I'm in a college setup, you would have your main lecturer, and there is a TA who sort of helps your lecturer through the projects, etc. So we have a similar model here at Simplilearn. So they'll help you with the projects and everything. During your projects also, you would have, like, so for example, a project for a capstone project, we gave about 14 days. There will be mid project reviews. So say on the weekend that the class happens, you can still interact with your main professor or the cohort uh, main lecturer of the class to sort of get your doubts clarified, and they'll help you out. Now, all the learners will also be part of a Slack group. And the idea that we have introduced a Slack group is to sort of encourage a lot of community learning, which is basically you can put your code there, you can put your questions there, and our Slack groups, believe me, are very, very active. You'll see a lot of questions being asked at all times on that, and mostly the learners solve it within themselves.
Right. Thank you for answering that. Now we have a lot more questions coming in. So there's a learner asking, will it cover Google and AWS cloud services also for generative AI or agentic AI?
As far as I remember, not in this particular program, but we do have other programs that sort of help you with those. What you could do like I said, so Shweta will float out a form if you could express your interest. there is a learning consultant who would get in touch with you and guide you towards the right program. There are programs which are similarly priced, but with a different setup in terms of what we offer. So where it's a lot more towards the the components that you have asked.
And then there are a few questions about the program, whether it's self-paced learning or instructor-led, and also if they can pay the fee on an EMI. Do we have EMI options?
Yes, we do have easy pay options, no cost EMI options in an Indian context. Right. So yeah, they are available. That's point number one. What was the other question? Sorry, Shweta, I missed that. The first part of the question.
Is it self-paced or
It's a
instructor-led?
combination of self-paced, but majority of the program is what we say is an online instructor-led program, right? So if you ask me a split between that, so it would be about 80-20. 80% of it is on online instructor-led program. There would be a 20% of the training, which is what we say is a self-paced module. So there are some modules that are specifically brought by Microsoft, and these are in specific to some fields. Not everybody would want to take those. It's an optional program, so those are all very those are elective based. There are some things which we feel are are compulsory for somebody to be an agentic AI engineer, so those are all live classes.
Right. So thank you for that, Avinash. A lot of them are asking for the course link, so I'm gonna take them to the next slide. Here you can find a QR code. If you scan this code, this will take you to the course page where you will get all the details about the course. And if you have any further questions, you can definitely ask us. Again, in the interest of time, we might not be able to answer all of your questions in depth. So I'm gonna launch a poll. So if you're interested in this course specifically, or if you are interested in taking up any course in generative AI or agentic AI, because I see a lot of questions around those, please click on a yes, and our team will be in touch with you at the earliest for the same. So I'm going to quickly launch the poll right now.
Also, one other thing that you could remember before answering the poll is if you're AI, agentic AI curious, say you don't want to take the course or but you want to learn more about it, just want to understand, see how it helps, etc. You could still express your interest here, because our our learning consultants are not in, so they don't sort of pester you always by contacting. If you sort of just want to understand more about what the program is about, how does it help you, if you want to have a general counseling session also, just drop a yes so that they can contact you and help you further.
Right. As you all are sharing your responses, if you guys have any further questions uh, about the course, you can ask us. So, Avinash, there's a question. Will this happen on the weekends?
Yes. This happens in the weekends because there are people from different geos. I'm not able to say whether it's a evening or a morning. So, but what we have is at a different time zones. So we have people from different time zones who enroll for the program, and there are multiple options for people from different time zones. So that are available. So in an Indian context, it is available, and there's a morning batch, there's an afternoon, and there's an evening batch as well. So similar timings would be there for other geos as well.
All right. So, what are the EMI options? I think Avinash mentioned that. And if you'd like to know more, you can again click on a yes, and our team will be able to help you with that.
Yeah, so the
Uh,
mostly low cost EMI options available. And yeah, so it's a very easy 5-10 minute process, which our learning consultant will guide you through.
right. If the poll is not visible to all of you, I can see a few of you mentioning that you're not able to see the poll. If you are not able to see the poll, all you'll have to do is go to this page, scan the QR code, and this will take you to the course page. There will be an option to talk to a learning advisor. Even if you click on that, our team will be able to reach out to you and help you with all of your questions and queries. Again, there's a question about payments. Is it a one-time full payment, or can you do installment payments? I think Avinash just answered that question, that you have the option. Avinash, do you want to take that up?
Yeah, there are easy payment options available. If people go onto the website and would want to enroll right away, also there is an option of doing easy payments. If you can't find that and you feel a little confused, just drop your inquiry. Our learning consultants will get in touch with you. For India, we'll probably get in touch with you tomorrow. For the other geos, based on the timing, etc., we'll probably get in touch with you as soon as possible.
All right. So I think
I
with that,
sorry, just, sorry,
yeah.
Shweta,
No, no,
I
go
think
ahead,
there's
Avinash.
one question around the course curriculum link. Again, if you could just scan the QR code, I think Shweta would also probably share a link to the
Yeah.
course on the chat. That would have the entire curriculum. There's a brochure available. You could go through the brochure as well.
Yes. So I'll just quickly share the course link in the chat for anyone who's not able to access it right now.
Yeah, so this answer has nothing to do with the recording. Everybody would get access to the recording, so you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, the certificates, the slide deck, and the recording will be available to all of you. Again, we will be launching a poll for the certificates. Once you fill that poll, you will be able to receive all of this within the next 48 working hours. So I'll wait for another 30 seconds. In the meantime, you guys can ask any further questions you may have, and then we will move on to the certificate poll, which is something that all of you have been waiting for. Poll went off. So, guys, if you are facing issues with the poll, like I said, I have shared the link also in the chat, and there is this QR. You can visit their course page and click on the talk to an advisor option. Our team will make sure that they reach out to you at the earliest. So, that should not be an issue. All right. Avinash, there's one more question. Is the course fee inclusive of GST or
Yes,
75K plus
the
GST?
yes, the price that we have displayed on earlier is inclusive of all taxes.
Great. And I think one more question. I think this is a concern that we've seen across all webinars. Is coding knowledge prior build basically is coding knowledge required to join this?
It's absolutely good to have. There's definitely no doubts about it. But the way we have structured the program, the type of people and the backgrounds that they're coming from, we sort of put this program in a way where you could learn the bits what are necessary to do the program in the initial part. So that's why if you look at the curriculum, the initial part is the fundamentals of Python, Python for agentic AI. So there are modules around that. So that is for people who are predominantly from uh, non-coding backgrounds. How do they cope up? So if you ask me, is it definite? Is it good to have? Absolutely. Is it must have? Not necessarily.
All right, I think it's time for me to end this poll right now. So if you guys still want to explore this course, please go ahead to the course page or scan this QR. You'll receive the slide deck as well. With that, I'm gonna take you to another part of the Buildathon. So before we wrap up, like and get to the certificates, this is something that we would absolutely love to see. Over the last few hours, you've invested your time, challenged yourself, and hopefully built an AI powered analytics dashboard that you're genuinely proud of. And that's an achievement worth celebrating. And we think and we believe that it deserves an audience. So here's a little challenge from the Simplilearn team. Take a screenshot of the dashboard you've built today. Make sure that the current timestamp is visible so we know it was built during today's Buildathon, and share it on your favorite social media platform within the next 48 hours. Don't forget to tag Simplilearn and use the hashtags #SimpliLearnAI Workshop and #Buildathon. Our team will be looking through all the submissions and we will be handpicking some of our favorites to feature across Simplilearn social media channels where they are seen by a community of over 200,000 followers. So it's a great opportunity to showcase your work, celebrate your learning, and maybe even inspire someone else to start building with AI. So don't let your dashboard stay on your laptop. Let's share it with the world, and we would genuinely love to see what you have created. With that, we know that a lot of you asked about this poll, so I'm going to launch the certificate poll right away. So, if you would like to receive the recording, the slide deck, and all the resources, please fill your full name in this poll, and you will be receiving this within the next 48 working hours. I understand that a lot of you have joined halfway through the webinar, through the Buildathon, and did mention that you missed a part of the Buildathon and you wanted a recording. Some of you had issues with the links. So, we will ensure that you receive all of this. So, please go ahead and share all of your responses. When do we get the recording? You guys will be getting it within the next 48 working hours. If you don't receive it within the next 48 working hours, then you can write to us at webinars@simplilearn.net. I will also mention it in the chat. In the meantime, if you guys have any further questions for Chris or for Avinash, please go ahead and feel free to share it in the Q&A box, and we will take up any of your questions. It was an awesome webinar. Thank you so much for such wonderful feedbacks. This is what keeps us motivated to do many more of these buildathons, and we are really hoping to see all of you in the upcoming buildathons as well, and hopefully a part of our courses, because it would be great to have all of you. I think as you all are sharing your responses, I would also like to take this time to thank both Chris and Avinash for being a part of this buildathon. Chris, it was great. I thoroughly enjoyed the entire build. You answered a lot of questions, a lot of queries, and I'm sure the audience also enjoyed this session. And we've got some amazing responses in the chat. So many responses in the Q&A, and that makes us really happy. So before we wrap up, do you have any closing thoughts to share with our audience?
I just really, appreciate all the questions and all the interaction. You guys have been great, and thank you for the opportunity of sharing, these, the latest and greatest in AI for, analytics, for app development. This is just, such cool stuff, and I love to see the knowledge base grow and go out there and create something new. I can't wait to see it.
Thank you so much, Chris. That was great. And Avinash, thank you for joining us. We got to know a lot about the program from you. There were questions about the course, some of them wanted to join, some EMI questions. So we're really hoping to see a lot of them in our upcoming batches. So any closing thoughts before we wrap up?
No, just a huge kudos to everybody for like, I mean, doing something for 3 hours continuously, something that is not a mandate, shows a lot of it's a huge kudos, and it's uh, an indication to how much they are interested in learning about this. So that's about it from me.
Yes, thank you so much, Avinash. And with that, I would also like to thank all of you. Like Avinash just mentioned, you stayed with us till the very end. That shows your dedication and motivation. So I really hope all of you achieve greatness and choose the right learning path for your career journey ahead. And I really hope to see you all soon in our webinars or in our courses. And let's connect very soon. And if you have any feedbacks, if you want us to conduct any specific sessions, any topic of interest, please feel free to write to us at webinars@simplilearn.net, and we will see you all really soon. I hope all of you have a wonderful evening ahead. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to end this Buildathon now.